this is part 2 of the question series that I'm doing, answering questions that Carly had for shifters. I did repost her video, so if you're curious where these questions originated from, you can check my reposts, or you can check out Carly's page. I will at her below for that reason. So question number 2 is also a 4-part question, so I'm going to do this in parts. Part 1. How do external factors, CR factors, play into my success rate when it comes to shifting? Do I find it's harder to shift if I'm more distracted by my CR? Do I try to distract myself from my CR? Or do I accept it for what it is and just continue on with my attempt? And this is specifically talking about external factors in regards to my successful attempts, is how I interpreted this question. So CR factors really only play a role in my success rates in regards to how, like, what I'm able to process versus what I'm not able to process, or what kind of relaxed state I'm able to get in versus not being able to get in. So if I have a lot of things going on in my CR, if my work life is really stressful, if my CR life is really stressful, if I just have a lot of things going on, I do notice that that is something that will, until those kinds of like inner turmoil thoughts are resolved within myself, or I've at least come to peace with those, I am very much less likely to have a successful shifting attempt while that is happening. Now, sometimes really stressful, really traumatic, like, events will happen, really busy things will be going on in my CR, and I can shift successfully, but the difference is how I'm personally able to handle and process the CR things that are going on, if that makes sense. So do I find it's harder to shift if I'm more distracted by my CR? Yes, in regards to thoughts. No, in regards to senses. And I feel like that's going to be a controversial take. Because when it comes to the actual shifting attempt, I prefer to have some type of CR background noises, because I have learned that for myself, it is actually easier for me to submerge myself into genuinely believing what I'm trying to do because I know it's so real. And a lot of the times I'll use any CR sounds that I have and I'll just automatically assume they're in my DR. This was something that I had to practice doing to make it an automatic thing that I do, but now it's pretty much a seamless, like, if I have a sense in my CR that seems really distracting to me, I can automatically apply a DR reason why that sense would be happening, or I will create a scenario in my head and play that scenario out over and over and over again to make it make sense to me. And I do have some DRs that are super different than my CR, and I'm still able to do that because the thing that I have found that helps me the most in successful shifting attempts is I'm not focused on anything outside of myself. And I'm just trying to connect with myself in my DR and, like, quote unquote settle in my body. So anything outside of my body is like a non-starter. It doesn't matter to me. All I need to do is focus on the fact that if I'm breathing in my CR, I am also breathing the same way in my DR. And eventually, as I'm doing my breathing and everything, I start thinking, I'm in my DR, I'm not in my CR, and now I'm breathing as my DR self, and now I'm thinking as my DR self, and now anything I'm hearing is from my DR, and now anything I'm feeling in my bed is from my DR. Even if it makes zero fucking sense, I keep telling myself that and reaffirming it to myself over and over and over again. And as long as my internal monologue will stay on that path, I'm more likely to have a successful shifting attempt. Also, sorry, my chat is blowing up. My team is in the office and they're all getting lunch apparently. So a good example of this would be that I have a husband. He literally sleeps right here next to me every single night. Usually I'm sleeping on him in some way, or we are literally like limbs entangled within each other because we both have Ehlers-Danlos syndrome. We are both hypermobile, and that's how we sleep. We're obnoxious. It doesn't stay that way for very long, but usually when we're falling asleep, we're usually entwined in some way. So I'm very aware of another human being constantly touching me all night long. I also live with my little sister. I let her live with me, and she is my roommate, and she has a girlfriend who stays over pretty consistently. So I am also very aware that her and her girlfriend are across the hall a lot of the times. And then not only that, but I have 4 cats who are all crackheads, and they love to just crack out all the time. And they make a lot of noise. They are not quiet cats. They are not chill cats. They play and they meow and they make a lot of noise. So I have a lot of like outside CR noises. I also have an air purifier that always is making some kind of noise. My husband's always running a fan. If somebody left the fan on in the bathroom, I could hear that. I'm really sensitive to noises. I hear them all of the time. And if I'm going into my shifting attempt and I'm telling myself I can't pay attention to anything in my CR, it's already a lost cause. I've already lost the game. It's already not even worth trying to do. But if I go into it and I'm just like, wow, everything that I'm experiencing in my CR right now, I'm experiencing in my DR. And one of the fun ways that I did this, not last year, but the year before, December 2023, I scripted as a joke, as a literal joke, kink method, a waiting room that was identical to my CR, except that I would shift there the moment that I thought about shifting or wanting to shift, or I did a shifting attempt, or I walked through a doorway, or I took a shower, or I got out of the shower. Like, there was these, like, transition periods that would happen in my CR, and I scripted I wouldn't be completely unaware I shifted. I would notice nothing really different or off, but I would have the ability to shift a true 50-50 chance every time I tried. So if I closed my eyes and said, I am shifting now, I would have a genuine 50-50 chance. Either I would or I wouldn't. And I could script anything I wanted for my CR. And I literally shifted there the night that I made that waiting room as a joke. I literally wrote 5 things down in my notepad and literally shifted there, and that was my longest shift to date I have ever had. So you could do that too. You could script a little waiting room, and it is literally just like anytime I go into a shifting attempt, I automatically shift to this alternative version that is identical to my CR, but now I'm going to shift no matter what I do. And then you know for a fact that no matter what you're hearing, seeing, feeling, anything like that, that is just you in your waiting room, which is the catalyst to get you to your DR. That was my hack for doing it, and it has worked for me seamlessly every single time. Now, if I am distracted by my own inner monologue thoughts, completely different story. Haven't figured out how to like control that yet. At this point, I've just kind of accepted that like it either will be successful or it won't be successful, and at that point it's just not being upset or down on myself if it takes some time to process and handle the stress that I'm going through in my CR or the things that are causing me to have these running thoughts. And if I don't shift successfully during those times, that doesn't mean I'm doing anything wrong. It just meant that this reality needed more of my time and my focus. And so I'm shifting, quote unquote, becoming aware every morning of the reality that I most need to be aware of at that time. And that would be this reality, which is why I personally don't believe in failed shifting attempts. There is no such thing as a failed shifting attempt. They're just unsuccessful attempts. There are successful ones and there are unsuccessful ones. But if you had an unsuccessful attempt, that doesn't mean that you did anything wrong. And so that's how I would answer that question. Sorry, this was also 9 fucking minutes long. This was supposed to be 3-minute videos. Sorry.